What up, everybody? You're watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports, and we're having a company-wide battle here at Chat Sports. Someone on one of our channels commented individually 41 separate times, and I want a real one of Giants Now to break that record. So if you comment real one 42 times or more, whoever is the winner of the challenge by commenting the most, I'm going to give you a shout-out on tomorrow's video. What up, everybody? I'm your host, Marshall Green. You're watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. We have a loaded show for everybody today, so let's give you a little rundown of what we got. An NFL legend and now NFL insider has linked Tee Higgins to the Giants as an offseason trade target. We're going to break that down. Also, Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator for Big Blue, he is set to have his second interview with the Houston Texans. Only two guys are getting second interviews. It would suck to see him go. We'll break that down. And also, there's a rumor out there that Saquon Barkley turned down a contract worth $12 million per year. Did it happen? We'll unpack it. And is the Daniel Jones contract already signed? Joe Schoen might add a little bit of a slip up in his media press conference just a couple of days ago. We'll talk about that. But first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because the offseason around the Giants is going to be crazy. And we're going to keep you guys up to date with the videos every single day on the latest Giants news and rumors. So go down right now, hit that big red button, and subscribe to the channel. Let's start with Tee Higgins on today's show. Boomer Esiason, the former quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, has now linked Tee Higgins to the Giants as a potential offseason trade. Does Boomer Esiason know something about the Cincinnati Bengals? I mean, he did only play there for a couple of years. Look, I think it makes sense what Boomer said. This is exactly what he had to say on the radio. He said Tee Higgins was a second-round draft choice, and he is in the third year of his four-year contract. There is no way Tee Higgins is coming back in his last year playing for what is on his contract right now. There is an opportunity for somebody to go and trade for a guy like Tee Higgins. He went on to say, when you start scouring the free agent lot for wide receivers this year, it is not all that impressive in terms of quality, high-end, number one wide receivers. That's where teams like the Giants have to be really smart in evaluating these players and where they are at in their career. T is a young kid. He's fast, he can take the top off the defense, and he's a really good dude. I think he would match what the Giants need. And I 100% agree with Boomer. He would match what we need. The Giants need a wide receiver one, and I believe Tee Higgins is a wide receiver one. He's just playing behind, I don't even want to say behind Jamar Chase, alongside Jamar Chase, who in my opinion is a top 5 receiver in the National Football League. Tee Higgins in his third year. Next year will be his fourth year. I think he is just scratching the surface of the type of player he can be. When you look at what he did this year for Cincinnati, 74 grabs, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. The year before that, 74 grabs, over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. His rookie year, 67 grabs, 900 yards, 6 touchdowns. I like that every year his yards per catch is over 13.5. He is a big play receiver. 6'4", 215 pounds, just 24 years old. You can line him up on the outside. He can win one-on-one matchups. He can take away the number one corner, and he takes the pressure off of you in the run game because he makes the defense have to take their first step back when you have a guy like Tee Higgins that takes the top off the defense. But we got to be honest. Trading for Tee Higgins, in my belief, is going to cost, at the very minimum, a first-round draft pick. Hollywood Brown just pretty much went for a first-round pick. Chase Claypool went for a second-round pick from the Chicago Bears, which is going to be the 32nd pick in the NFL draft, equivalent to a first-round pick. It's not going to come cheap. You're not going to get him for a third or fourth-round pick. Cincinnati does have a lot of high-volume players to pay. Think about Joe Burrow. You have Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, and you have great players on that defense. So they're going to want something of value back, and I think it's going to be the Giants' first-round pick, and this is what that trade would look like. If I'm the Cincinnati Bengals and the Giants were calling me saying, yo, we want Tee Higgins, what do we have to give up? I'm telling you, I want your first-round pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, which is number 25 overall. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not even sure if that's enough. But if that's all it took, what would you do? Take the seat of Joe Schoen. If the Bengals said, we would give you Tee Higgins for your first overall selection in the draft, pick number 25, would you do it? Type A for accept, D for decline. I definitely think about it. And you know what? I'm not sure I'd say no, but I want to hear from you. Type A for accept, type D for decline. We also have some news and a little bit of update on Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator for Big Blue. In his first season, he was great. But I'm not sure how many more seasons he's going to have as the Giants play caller, because he is in his second interview, or set to have his second interview with the Houston Texans. He also interviewed with the Indianapolis Colts and the Carolina Panthers. This is a guy that's going around the NFL. Look, they saw what he did for Daniel Jones, and now they are saying, what can you do for our young quarterback? When you look at what the Giants offense was back in 2021 under Jason Garrett and Freddie Kitchens compared to 2022 under Mike Kafka, they pretty much got better and much better in every statistical category. But if I'm a team, I'm looking at this. Red zone TD percentage. Without Mike Kafka, the Giants were the worst team in the NFL in that department. With Mike Kafka, they were the 7th best. That shows me that you can get the absolute most out of your offense. It would suck to see Kafka go, but I'm going to be honest, I don't know if he's going to last too many more years. Even if he gets one more year as a Giants offensive coordinator, I believe he's going to be a head coach here pretty damn soon. We're going to touch on those Saquon Barkley rumors coming up in a second. But first, I want to give a big shout out to today's sponsor, Athletic Greens. Shout out to Athletic Greens for sponsoring Giants Now by Chat Sports. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted better gut health and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I take AG1 in the morning, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. AG1 empowers the gut for whole body health, which is something that I need. I start the day with making one great choice, AG1, and more healthy decisions then follow. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix one small scoop of AG1 with water and drink it first thing each morning. Done. I also like that it costs less than $3 a day. Pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients. It's a win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check them out. The link is in the comments and description of today's show. Better promotes gut health, supports immunity, and boosts energy. Shout out to Athletic Greens. Get hooked up with them. athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Did Saquon Barkley turn down a contract extension that averaged $12 million per year? Those are the rumors that are out there. Supposedly the Giants, Schoen and Brian Daboll, met with Saquon Barkley and his representatives during the bye week for the Giants. They talked about a contract. Schoen said they weren't close, and then the rumors came out that Saquon Barkley turned down a deal from the Giants that was worth $12 million per year. We're going to show you in a second what the highest paid running backs in the NFL get per year. But first, let's kind of recap what Saquon Barkley did this year and compare it to what the other top backs in the NFL did. The guy had 295 carries. He was a workhorse for the Giants. 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4.4 yards per carry, 57 grabs, 338 yards. There's really nothing you can say about Saquon Barkley not having a good year. But I wonder, how much do you want him eating up of the salary cap? I think about it like this. The Giants versus the Vikings and the Giants versus the Eagles in the playoffs, Saquon only had 18 touches. Do they really think he's a long-term piece? Well, he was a top 4 rusher in the National Football League in 2022, right behind Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, and Nick Chubb, and right behind him is fellow Penn State back Miles Sanders. So if I'm Saquon Barkley, it's my first real opportunity to get paid in the NFL. I just gave you the 4th most production in the NFL. I'm going to be wanting to be paid like at minimum a top 5 back. And if you look at the highest paid backs right now, at Christian McCaffrey at the top of the list at $16 million per, then a guy like Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, I worry. Because I don't think the Alvin Kamara contract has worked out too much for the New Orleans Saints. Zeke's going to get cut this offseason. Dalvin Cook, he may get cut. Some people think he's not even a top 40 back anymore. Derrick Henry, I would say the contract worked out pretty well. He's pretty much the heartbeat of their offense. But then you look at a guy like Aaron Jones. He's solid, but is he worth $12 million? Joe Mixon, they're finding ways in Cincinnati to get it done. So I think this shows you, and a guy like Nick Chubb, they were able to afford Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett, as well as an expensive offensive line. So you can find a way to do it. You can find a way to pay a running back and build a good football team, but it's scary. It's sketchy. There's a 100% injury rate in the NFL, and especially at the running back position, where the life expectancy is no longer than what? 2 or 3 years long in the NFL? Saquon Barkley's already 26 years old. So you're going to have season at 26, 27, 28. Is he going to be good at 29? Is he going to be great at 30? I think we already saw this year that outside of the first game of the season against the Tennessee Titans, when he had that 70-yard run, he really never had a breakaway run. He had a 40-yard run outside of that. But go back to the Eagles game in the playoffs where he busted that runoff on the left side. I feel like 2018 Saquon is chucking up that do sign and getting to the house. I don't know. It's why I don't get paid the big bucks to make it, because I love Saquon. He's one of my favorite players on this team. But I really only care about the Giants being great. Does Saquon make the Giants great? Yes, but can they be great without him and pay the $14 million he supposedly wants to 2 other starters, maybe a great inside linebacker and a solid corner? It is going to be a tough decision. I think it's going to end in a franchise tag. That's what I think happens. I think the Giants are going to franchise tag Saquon Barkley, try to work out a long-term deal, and if they can't, then I think they're going to trade it. So I want to ask you, what do you think, or what would you do? I want to ask you, what would you do with Saquon Barkley? Would you sign him to whatever money he wants? He said he doesn't want to reset the running back market, but turn down a deal worth $12 million. He wants 15, 16. That's a little bit too rich for me, but I want to ask you, should you sign him or should you trade him? Those are your only 2 options at this point. What would you do? Type S for sign, type T for trade. And another contract to talk about. What about Daniel Jones? I said on the previous shows this week that I would want to pay Daniel Jones 3 years, $90 million, $30 million per, with an easy out after the second year, just so if you find out he's not the guy, which I don't think he is. I think he is the guy. But you always want to give yourself an easy out. But did Joe Schoen do that in his press conference? He met with the media a couple of days ago, and he said, he was asked, do you think Daniel Jones is a guy that can lead you to a Super Bowl? And he said, we are happy that Daniel is going to be here. We are happy he is going to be here. Then he noticed what he said. And then he said, hopefully we get something done with his representatives, and that would be the goal, to build a team around him to win a Super Bowl. Joe Schoen definitely didn't mean to say that, I'll tell you that much, and I think it's obvious. The Giants want Daniel Jones back. Daniel Jones wants to be a Giant. Why wouldn't he want to be? It's just going to come down to how much money both sides are comfortable with paying. So like we did with Saquon, let's take a look around the NFL at the highest paid quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers, $50 million. Russell, $50 million. Kyler, that's a terrible deal right now. I think he could get a lot better, but right now it doesn't look that good. Deshaun Watson, he didn't play like the 4th best quarterback this year for the Cleveland Browns. Derek Carr, he's about to get cut. Dak Prescott, they don't think he can win in Dallas. Matt Stafford, he's a shell of himself, and Kirk Cousins makes $35 million. I can say I would rather have Daniel Jones and a couple of guys on this list right here, but this is really where I think that Daniel Jones fits in, 11 to 18. If Jared Goff is making $33.5 million, that's what I want to see Daniel Jones at. And we'll take a look at Goff here in a second. Carson Wentz at 32, terrible contract. Matt Ryan at 30, terrible contract. Ryan Tannehill at 30. He was good for a little bit, but I don't really think he's a winner. Jimmy Garoppolo, 27.5. That's kind of a steal, but he's not all that healthy. Tom Brady, he's going to take the Tom Brady deal because he's a stand-up dude. Daniel Jones, I wish you'd listen to that. So we've showed you the top 18 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. I think $30 million a year is what is fair. And I know fair is not a word that we like to use in professional sports, but I think that's fair to Daniel Jones. And I think that's fair to the New York Football Giants. I think if I'm Daniel Jones and I'm his agent, I'm going back to 2019 and I'm taking a look at the contract that Jared Goff signed with the LA Rams and then played a couple of years, then got traded to the Detroit Lions. In 2019, Jared Goff signed a contract, 4 years, $134 million, an average annual salary of $33.5 with $57 million guaranteed. I mean, if Daniel Jones signed this contract, I think that's a solid deal. Maybe it's a little bit of an overpay. Like I said, I lean closer to $30 million per year, but we're really splitting hairs at 33 and 30. At the end of the day, 4 years is a little bit long for me. I'd prefer a shorter deal, but I think the framework of that Jared Goff contract, who I think is on a similar career trajectory, even though he did go to the Super Bowl with the LA Rams, I think they're kind of in the same tier. Two good, young, solid quarterbacks who still have upside, can still get better, and have shown you they could be reliable franchise quarterbacks and win you games in the playoffs. That's what I think is very similar about Goff and Daniel Jones. I think $30 million is something, that's where I'm trying to stay. But look, it's going to be a tough negotiation for Daniel Jones and Joe Schoen, but I think that deal is inevitably going to get done. What do you think, though? How much would you pay Daniel Jones per year? We showed you the top 18 guys. Goff makes 33. I'd lean about 30, but if I'm Daniel Jones, I say I want more than Jared Goff. And that's kind of what happens. Each quarterback kind of resets the market. Salary cap's always going up. It's going to be an interesting offseason. Let me know how much you would pay Daniel Jones. Also, give me a follow over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. Another way for you to stay up to date on the latest Giants news, Giants rumors, anything related to the Giants. Give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_.